Have you ever heard of a place where getting in feels easy, but getting out feels impossible? A place that calls to you in the dead hush of night, where someone whispers your name, and when you turn, there is only empty air? Tonight, I'm taking you to one of America's darkest corners. They call it the Whispering Woods. On paper, the Whispering Woods sounds like any other stand of trees, quiet, green, a natural border beyond a small town. But the people who live near it will tell you something else. They call it cursed. They speak of a single tree at its entrance, a massive, dead monolith the size of a house. They call that tree the Tree of Voices. The saying goes that at certain hours, especially after 3 in the morning, you can hear things from within its hollow trunk. Not the wind, not animals. Voices, whispers, cries stitched together like a broken chorus. And carved into that bark, hundreds of names. Names that belong to people who vanished inside the forest and never came back. The story begins long ago, in 1857, in a town no larger than a handful of streets. There lived a woman named Eliza Crowley. She kept to herself, quiet, a seamstress who mended coats. When her child disappeared one summer night, gone without a trace, the town's fear turned to accusation. They blamed Eliza, not because there was evidence, but because fear needs a shape. They dragged her from her home, tied her, and set a fire. Flames curled around her, and the last thing she said was not a scream, but a promise. She promised that whoever took her boy, the forest would mark them. It would not release them. It would carve their names into its very skin. No one understood her words, but everyone remembered the tone. Grief sharpened into a curse. After that night, the woods changed. People felt watched when they walked by. Birds stopped nesting near the tree line. The old hunters said even the wind wouldn't enter the forest the same way. Then people started vanishing. A woodcutter, a farmer's wife, a young boy chasing a ball. No footprints, no trails, just absence. Each time, by moonlight, a new name appeared on the Tree of Voices, freshly carved, the wood still raw. Years passed. The town shrank. Outsiders dismissed the stories, called it folklore. But locals avoided the forest like a mouth waiting to swallow anything that stepped too close. In modern times, the legend turned into a dare. Teenagers dared each other to go in. YouTubers came for clicks. One of them was Daniel Briggs, year-old documentary maker. Curious, hungry for fame. People warned him, told him not to go. But curiosity is louder than caution. At 2:43 a.m., Daniel entered the Whispering Woods with a flashlight, a camera, and too much confidence. At first, the footage looked normal. Insects, branches, shaky humor. He joked to ease his nerves. But then the sound changed. His mic caught layers of whispers. Not wind, not echo. Voices, hundreds of them, breathing in unison, rising and falling like tides. He followed the sound deeper. The camera beam crossed something that froze him, the Tree of Voices, and on its surface, his own name, carving itself, letters forming as if the wood were alive. He moved closer in disbelief, and then the whispering stopped. All at once, a single voice replaced the chorus. "You're too late." Daniel panicked. He turned to run, but every direction twisted. Paths looped back on themselves. Trees leaned in, closing, narrowing, as if the forest was rearranging itself. His flashlight flickered. His breath got louder. The camera fell. Dirt filled the frame. There was a scream, raw, final, then static. 3 days later, rangers found the camera at the base of the Tree of Voices. No Daniel, no footprints, just the final frame, a pale figure standing in the trees. Long hair, no mouth, empty eyes, holding a small toy car, same model Daniel had shown in a vlog earlier. And behind her, a tiny voice. Mother, I found him. But the story didn't end with Daniel. Every October, when nights grow long, more names appear on the tree. Although daylight erases the glow, locals say you can still feel which names are new. The wood feels warm, like a heartbeat under your palm. Old women in the town keep charms above their doors. Bits of metal wrapped in red thread. Bread left on windowsills. Whispered blessings. Maybe superstition, maybe survival. A teacher once tried praying at the forest edge for 3 nights. On the 4th day she left town, hair turned gray overnight. She spoke only one sentence. It listens when you speak its names. Kids who've grown up here know better. They don't wander after sunset. They don't follow voices. And they never say their full name aloud near the woods. Some nights, people hear laughter from the branches. Some nights, crying. Some nights, the voice of someone long dead. A hunter once said he heard his daughter calling to him, but she had died 3 years earlier. When he stepped toward the sound, the tree shifted. A dark shape stood behind him, tall, thin, leaning gently like it was studying him. He never returned to the forest again. Those who've seen shapes in the woods describe them as unfinished, like silhouettes trying to remember how to be human, like grief wearing a body. And always, the sound returns. The whispers. There's an old photograph from the 1930s, a group of 5 people posing on the forest edge, everyone smiling stiffly. But on the far right, a tall shadow leans toward them, a shape darker than night. No wind, yet the shadow bends like it's reaching. Locals say the shadow still appears sometimes. Watching, waiting. Coldridge Town learned one lesson. The forest keeps memories, but memories become hungry. People ask, what does the Whispering Woods want? The answer changes depending on who you ask. Some say it wants children. Some say it wants names. Some say it wants anyone who enters with grief in their heart, because grief calls to grief. But the truth? It wants whoever answers the whisper, because answering is permission. If you ever stand at the forest edge, you will feel it before you hear it. A pressure, a presence, a breath on your spine, and then the whisper, sometimes soft, sometimes familiar, sometimes your own voice. If you lean closer, the forest leans closer too. And if you step inside, the woods will rearrange themselves behind you, closing, locking, keeping you. So remember this warning. If you hear your name in the dark, do not answer. If something moves like a person, do not trust it. If you see your name carved in the wood, run. And if you ever hear a child's voice saying, Mother, I found him, turn around slowly. Because the Whispering Woods doesn't just take people. It keeps their voices forever.